So where the paperwork part, you can see there's already documents put in here because that was already assigned from our office. They went in and they set up, hey, map these over and they're in your room already. So if you don't see that in yours, that's okay. You can always ask your office to please map them over for you if they haven't already. And they're usually going to be only the documents that are required for that transaction, not so much the conditional ones, because that gets a little bit sticky there unless you create multiple checklists that have requirements in there. So if I need to add more, I can do that. You can also, if you wanted to, you could also go ahead and create what we call a template, which I'll show you that in another video. That template will allow you to have your own documents added to the room as well. So if you have certain rooms or whatnot you have to do, you can do that. You can see there's consultation, under contract, and closed in here. I also like to create one of my own. So I'm going to come up here where it says new folder. You can see across the top, we've got search. So I can search through documents in here for a lot of documents. I can upload by email. Most signature systems do have a way to do this, but this by far is the easiest one I've seen because it actually has the button right here. DocuSign, you had to go email to a specific email address and something in the subject. You don't have to do that. You can go ahead, copy this, and then just go to that email and forward that email directly into here, and it will do that. So this link right here is specific to this room, so you don't have to worry about it going somewhere else. All right, so just copy that, forward that email into here, automatically email all the attached documents into here. All right, so you can create a new folder, which is my intent here. I always have a working folder that I play with. And I can go ahead and create that working folder. Something else I want to show you is in here, you can move stuff by just clicking and dragging. You can also click multiple and just do one at a time without do multiple, as you can move them back and forth, as you can see. So when you do select things, you can see that by selecting them, you've got this nice little bar that shows up at the bottom. It says two have been selected. You can either go into editor mode, you can go into signing mode, you can email these directly to somebody without doing anything to them. You can download them, print them, or you can just delete them. So those are your actions. And once I click out of it, you can notice that it unchecks all of those. So some of the other things I'm going to show you in here is if you go to this document and go to the side, you can either download this document by itself, you can print this document by itself and delete it, which is very smart. And a lot of times we just want to go and sign with a piece of paper and pen. So you can fill everything you need to out in here because it is already doing that. If we go into the broker relationship disclosure, we can see that it is auto-filling. And give it a moment to load. Let's see why it didn't do that. Right here, it should be a single agent. Filler or two. And it's associates are you the following duties. It should be filling that out here. Just that. All right. There are many ways in here, which I will show you how to do that. Let's first get to the rest of it. So I don't think this got mapped out properly. Let's see. All right. So all our information is in here under listing info. You can see the parties, buyer one, buyer two, and myself as the buyer's agent. Talk about buyer info. If there's anything else you want to add into here, like listing expiration date, leased items, property includes, property excludes, you could have done that in the earlier section, and you can do it in here. If for any reason you forgot a document, like it says these different documents are in the room and you forgot them, you can easily just grab it and drop it right there and they'll put it in the room. That is super easy. Much easier than previous platform. Other info. So we got the purchase price, the closing date. Let's go ahead and make sure we got closing date in here. Closing date. I don't want that one. I want to go to right. And I said that, which those two things are the same thing for us here. There's your deposit, the offer date, expiration date, all that stuff is in there that I had pre-filled before. That all came over from command. It also came over in the details section in the transaction room that we're in. Now we can create clauses, okay? Clauses are things that you're going to say regularly. And if you can see, I've already got two personal ones. And the office can create some clauses too. Like if you wanted to put a clause in there that says each office is independently owned and operated, that could be something your office could set up. Put in here. I know certain brokers want certain things put into their contract. So your office's broker could have that set in there. And you could also have certain things that you want in there. I used this as an example before by our agent fees. So if I wanted this in here, date is so I agrees to pay 3% of the total on a certain date. Maybe that's not what I wanted to do. Maybe I wanted to put in something else. I could put in that, like I said, each office is independently owned and operated. I could create that clause and put that in here. That doesn't have anything to do with the document I have up, so I'm not going to create that. But anything that you want to repetitively use over and over and over, you can create as a clause. Put in here. All right. Then we have tools. So it's really this simple: is you put a text box in. What I'd like you to know is the text boxes do resize based upon if something is bleeding over instead of it just not filling out and missing information, it will resize the text. And it's a nice change from DocuSign. So if I wanted a text box, I can simply just take that text box and hit enter. Oh, it says it's asking if I want to text in draw mode or if I want to have any confidential draft tools in there. Put a line in here. I can put strike through, highlight. Maybe I want to highlight this. Highlight it. There, highlight that part of it. All right. I can freehand draw on here. I can use a line, cross out something if I needed to. It could be a strike through. And then there can be a text box, like I said. Text box right here if I needed to move it around. All right, just showing that those things can be done. Also, if you need to zoom in and out, you can zoom in, out, see more things. Also, you can see the font. You can change the font size, color, type of font it is, if it's bold, italic, transparent background, all that good stuff. I'm just delete all this stuff. Just stay on there. All I'm doing is selecting it and then hitting the delete button on my keyboard and then it gets rid of it. All right, so you can see everything in here that I want to is filled out.